If you're a DataGraph user, you've probably noticed by now that we've released a new version of DataGraph, version 5.2. We have a page on our website that discusses all of the new features. I'll put a link to this in the description of this video if you haven't seen that yet. But in particular, in this video, what I'm going to talk about is a feature that allows you to save a DataGraph file in a new format. This is a single file format, different than the traditional default format of a package file. In particular, the single file format is helpful if you're working with files that are saved in the cloud, that don't live on your computer, but are just pulled onto your computer on demand. And a lot of cloud services are moving to this type of system. So if you're not really sure what the difference between a package file is and a single file, don't worry, I'm going to talk about that more in this video. And I'll show you how you can set the single file format as your default in DataGraph version 5.2. The first thing I want to show you is where you will encounter the option to choose a package file or the single file format. Okay, so here we have the DataGraph example files, and if I go in here and I open one of these files, this will download this example file for you, and if I like this file and I want to save it, I can go File, Save. And what you will see here is this new option that says File Format. You won't see this in prior versions of DataGraph, but now you have the option of choosing the package file or the single file format. So let's talk just for a moment about what the package file is. And I have on another screen here a Finder window that has a DataGraph file. This has the extension .dgraph. Let me zoom in on this a little bit here. Okay, so what you can do with a package file is you can actually see everything that's in it, because package files, although it will look like a file in the Finder, it's actually a folder that has the extension .dgraph, and the Apple system knows to display this as looking like a file. But if I wanted to see what is in this, I can control-click or right-click on the file and say Show Package Contents. And when I do, I see all of the files and folders that are in that DataGraph file. And this is kind of neat because you can go in and you can see how this is constructed. And really the two, I guess, big advantages of the package file are, one, that because it is really a series of files and folders with files in them, all the saves are done incrementally. So you can have very, very large sets of data and it will go and work very, very fast. The other thing is that if you were so inclined, you could actually write a program to create DataGraph files. You can go in here and manipulate these. I'd be careful doing them because you don't want to corrupt a file that's working well, but it is something that you can explore. How are these files set up? And we definitely have users who have written programs that create DataGraph files from scripts that they've written. Okay, so those are some of the advantages. What are some of the disadvantages of the package file? Well, really the main one that we have seen is, again, when files are used on a remote server, that you can have an issue where there's a confusion between the fact that the package file format that DataGraph is accepting has all of these files and folders in them. And if your files are being downloaded on demand, only when you need them, not all the files may be downloaded properly. Another thing that we've seen users have is messages that say your file has been saved by another user. Do you want to save this again, or do you want to overwrite this? And if you have messages like that, that could also be because of a conflict where your syncing program has saved a file and the versioning on the Apple system can get confused by that. Here's my file that I now want to save in the single file format. All I need to do is select the file format here in this menu, single file, and you'll notice that the extension onto the file will change from .dgraph to .dgraphs. So we added that little s at the end for a single file format. When we hit save, we can look at this in the Finder. This is the same window that I was in before that now has both a traditional package file with the .dgraph extension and my single file format with .dgraphs. Now, one thing you may notice that the icons that give you a preview for the dgraphs files are not quite working yet. That's something we're going to get fixed soon in the next version, but it doesn't change the functionality at all. It just means that for the older versions, you can hit the space bar and get a preview. You will not see that preview of a graph when you currently open a file that is the single file format. I'm certain that there's some of you out there that have existing files that you'll want to know, how do I take a dgraph file and make it a dgraphs file? Not too hard. You can't, however, just convert the file itself. You do have to make a copy of it and then save that new copy under the new format. But that's easy to do. And I'm going to show you with this example file here. In fact, this is another online example. This is one that uses data from an online source so that this data actually exists on the web and we're linking to it in this file. This is something we actually had a couple of issues with in the prior version of DataGraph. So if you had this not working for you before, you might want to try this again because we have fixed some of those issues, hopefully all of those issues. In any case, so if we want to now take this file and make it a single file format, I can go ahead and go to File, Save. And there's two ways you could do this. You can go to duplicate to make a copy of this, and then you would just save that copy as a single file format. But a handy trick is to hold down the Option key, and then you notice you get the Save As option. So I can click this. Now it's going to, again, give me the option of the package file or the single file format. I'm going to choose the dgraphs file and hit save. And if I go back to the Finder where these files are located, I now have these two additional files here. There's the scatter.dgraph and scatter.dgraphs. The last thing I'm going to talk about is how do you change your default settings so that you're always saving to a dgraphs file by default, since I know there are some of you out there that have been waiting for this functionality and you're just going to want to use the single file format from here on out. To do that, you can go into DataGraph and go under the DataGraph settings menu. And what you will find is a preferences panel that went onto my other screen. Here it is now. Let me minimize this. And in the preferences panel up at the top, there is an option that says default file format. And we can change this to say single file or package. I have it now set to single file format. So if I make a new DataGraph file and I want to save this file as something, I go to File, Save, and notice now without me changing anything, the file format menu here says single file.dgraphs. So you can still switch back to the package file format if you like, but then the single file format will be what will come up automatically when you're doing a file save. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be on the lookout. We'll have more videos showing some of the features that we have in DataGraph 5.2. And if this video was helpful for you, please consider giving us a like and subscribing to our channel.